Hello, so for this lesson we're going to be talking about points and lines, specifically parallel and perpendicular lines. So to start off, we're going to go through the definitions of each of them, each of those terms, and then we're going to discuss the differences between the slope of parallel lines and perpendicular lines. So let's get started. So to start off, we're going to talk about the definition of a point, and this is a location in space that has no dimension. And then when we're creating a diagram of a point, we are going to draw that as a dot, and then we'll label it with a capital letter. Next, we're going to talk about the definition of a line. A line is a straight path that is made up of points that extend infinitely in opposite directions. And then when we're working on creating a diagram of a line, it is going to be a straight line with arrowheads on both ends, and then you can label this with using two of our points. So we'll use point A and point B. So this right here could be line AB. We could also label this line with a lowercase letter. So we can also label it as a lowercase m. So this would be line M or line AB. Next, we're going to go through the definition of parallel lines. This is a set of two or more lines that two or more coplanar lines that will never intersect. Then when we're looking at a set of parallel lines, they will both just be, we'll have two of our lines, so we'll have two straight lines, so we'll label this one line M, and then this one can be labeled line N. And these two lines are parallel, so I'll put a little triangle on them to signify that these two lines are parallel. Next, we have our perpendicular lines, and these are a set of two lines that will intersect at one point and form a right angle. So then when we're drawing our perpendicular lines, we will have two lines. This time we'll label them R, and we'll label the next one T. The important thing to note is that these two lines will intersect and form a right angle, so we will mark in our right angle so we know that these are parallel. So we have line R and line T, and they both intersect at one point and create a right angle. So now from here, we're going to talk about the equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Later on, there is going to be a review next section where you will focus on reviewing how to graph lines and how to graph points on a coordinate plane. So when we're looking at the equations of our parallel and perpendicular lines, we're going to look at our slope intercept form. which is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is going to represent our slope, and then b is going to represent our y-intercept. So what I've gone ahead is I have graphed two lines. The first line is y is equal to 3/4 x plus 1, where I start at my y-intercept 1, and I go and I rise 3, and then I run 4. There will be more review on these in the videos, as I said, but that's what's happening here is we have our slope of 3/4, so we go up 3 and over 4, and that's where we reach our next point on our line. When we have our parallel lines, these slopes are going to remain the same. So slopes So the slopes of our parallel lines are going to remain the same. Because when we look at this next line here, y is equal to 3/4 x minus 3, we start at our y-intercept of -3, and then we go up 1, 2, 3, and then we go over 1, 2, 3, 4 to get our next point on our line. So these lines will never intersect, therefore they are parallel. So then next, if we look at our diagram down here, I've gone ahead and graphed two lines that are perpendicular. The first line, it has the equation of y is equal to 3x minus 1. So what we'll notice is we'll start at our -1, and we'll go up 1, 2, 3 on our y's, and then we'll go over 1 point on our x to get our next point of our line. So we have this line here. And then the next equation that we have is y is equal to -1/3 x minus 2. So we start at -2, and we go down 1, and then we go over 1, 2, 3 to get our next coordinate point. And then these two lines intersect at a right angle. So then, if our slopes of our parallel lines remain constant, our slopes of our perpendicular lines our slopes will be opposite reciprocals. So the slope of our first line was a 3, and then the slope of our second line was -1/3. And when we multiply 3 times our -1/3, we get -3/3, which simplifies to -1. And when our two slopes can be multiplied together to get -1, we know that these lines are going to intersect at a point and form a right angle. So I'll give you a moment and you can go through and write down all of these, maybe take a screenshot of it, so then you'll have it when you're going through the actual lesson. But from here on, you'll go through and you can do a review of graphing parallel perpendicular lines and points, and these will go through quizzes, and then you will continue through the rest of the lesson and apply these terms to architecture.